You are welcome to this channel. In this channel, we will be learning a lot of topics covered in mathematics. If you can put your mind, heart in whatsoever thing we are doing, you realize that mathematics will become very easy. You realize that it's quite simpler than you think of. Now we will be starting with indices. Indices is a very important topic of mathematics that is used for calculations. It makes mathematical calculation easier when you apply the laws. Now, when you talk of indices, indices show how many times a number has been multiplied by itself. For example, if you are having 2 raised power 4, now this 2 is a constant number. Now this 4 represent the power, or it can be referred to as the index. It can refer to as the power or the exponent. Now this 2 raised power 4 represent, now let's look at this. We are having 2 raised power 4. It means that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. That is when you are multiplying 2 in 4 places. So it means 2 is the constant number that is being multiplied by itself 4 times. So 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which will give us what? 16. Now if you look at 3 raised power 3, now it means that this 3, which is a constant number, is multiplied in 3 places. 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 will give us 27. When you look at 5 raised power 4, you know 5 is a constant number, 4 is the power. Now it means that this 5 is multiplied in 5 places. So that is 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, which gives us 625. Now let's now move further to the laws of indices. We have various laws we can apply when we are treating indices, so to make our work easier and faster. Now let's consider just 4 for now, 4 of these laws. Now we have the addition law. Now if you look at this A represents a constant number and which is multiplied in x places. This A represents a constant number which is multiplied in y places. Now you can see that these two constant numbers are similar. In this situation, we can apply the addition law, which says that if you are having two similar constant number, what you do to their powers is that you just add the power. Now also we have the division law. The division law says that when you are having, when you are having a raised power x, a is a constant number which is having a power of x, and this a is another constant number having a power of y. Now since you have to divide these two, the division law says that if you are having constant numbers like this, what you need to do to their power is that you subtract their power. So that means to make what you just do is say, well, a raised power x minus y. Subtract the power, you will now realize that what you would have solved the problem. Now, in indices, anything that raised any constant number that has a power of 0 is always equal to 1. Any constant number that has a power of 0 is always equal to 1. Now also, we have another law says that if you are having a negative power, you can do this, convert this to a positive power by looking for the inverse. A raised power minus x should be equal to what? 1 over a raised power x. So you do this by looking for the inverse. So a raised power minus is equal to 1 over a raised power x. Now let's now apply these laws by some examples. Now look at this. Let's look at this first example. Example 1. Assuming we don't want to use law of indices here, you are given y raised power 2 times y raised power 7. Here you will notice that this y is supposed to be what? Multiply itself 2 times, which is what? Y times y. Then times this y is what? Raised power 7. That means you have to multiply y in 7 places. Now, if you open the brackets, you now realize that what? This y times 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 y, which will go, the y will be in how many places now? That is 9 places. Y raised power 9. Now, if you want to apply law of indices, which says that whenever we are having multiplication in indices, since we are having the same constant number, what you have to do is what? To add their powers. Y raised power 2 times y raised power 7 should now be equal to y raised power 2, because it is multiplication, will be what? Plus 7, which is what? Y raised power 9. If you compare these two solutions, you realize that this application of indices makes our work easier, faster, clearer, and simpler. So this is the reason why we apply indices, to make whatever thing we are the calculations in mathematics easier and faster. Let's look at this other example. Now you are having y raised power 7 divided by y raised power 2. Now, no, it can still be written as y raised power 7 over y raised power 2. So this y raised power 7 means that you are multiplying y in 7 places. Y times y times y times y times y times y times y. Then divided by this y raised power 2 means you are multiplying y in 2 places. Y times y. Now, you realize this y will cancel this y. This y here 1, y here 1. So if you now resolve it, you realize that we're having how many y will be remaining? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that means y in 5 places. But you realize that if you want to apply the law of indices, now you realize you're having y raised power 7 divided by y raised power 2. The law says that if it is division, what you need to do is subtract the power. So y raised power 7 minus 2 should be equal to y raised power 2. You can see we are getting y raised power 5 rather. You can see that we are getting the same answer. So this shows that this method of applying indices makes our work easier, faster, simpler, and more convenient. So it's the reason why we are learning this law, various law of indices, to make mathematics easy for us for calculation. Now, henceforth, we will only be applying laws of indices, since you can see the difference between using ordinary algebraic method to using indices. So now let's look at another example. When we are having 10 raised power 2 times 10 raised power 3. Now, because you can see that 10 is a constant number and we are having two constant numbers having powers like this. So according to law of physics, it says that what you need to do is to add their powers. So you are now having 10 raised power 2 plus 3, which is what? Is equal to 10 raised power 2 plus 3 will give us 5. Now let's move further to another example. You are having, this is another example, number 4. That is 22n raised power 7 divided by 2n raised power 3. So it should be equal to, now you realize that here, this 22 and 2, they are constant number. They are not having power. So you can divide them just that way. So that means you are having 22 divided by 2. Then you now realize that n here is having power, this n is having power. This is where you can now apply the law of indices. So that means you now have n raised power, this 7, then because you are having division in between them, so you now subtract their powers. So now you now have 22 divided by 2, which will give you 11, and n raised power 7 minus 4 will give you 4. Let's take another example. Here you are having 19 raised power 0. 19 raised power 0. Now if you have 19 raised power 0, another law says that any number that raised power 0 will always give us what? 1 in indices. So that means this 19 raised power 0 is equivalent to what? 1. Now let's move further. We are having 5 raised power minus 2. Now if you remember in the fourth law we just learnt in indices, says that whenever you are having a negative power, so that means whenever you are having a negative power, so that means to turn this negative power to positive power, you are going to look for the inverse, that is 1 over the positive power. So that's what we are going to apply here. So that means we are having 5 raised power minus 2 should be equal to what? 1 over, to remove this power, it will now be 1 over 5 raised power 2 should be equal to 1 over 5 raised power 2 will give us what? 5 raised power 2 means 5 times 5. And 5 times 5 will give us 25. Now let's move further. We are having another example here. We are having 2 raised power 3 times 1 over 6 raised power minus 1. 2 raised power 3 times 1 over 6 raised power minus 1. Now 2 raised power 3. 2 raised power 3 means 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 times 2 will give you what? 8. Then times, now we are having, if you want to remove, according to the law of it says that if you want to remove negative power, so that means we are going to look for the inverse of the what you are having here. So that means not this 1 over this fraction will be 1 over 6. Now this is same thing as saying 8, this 8 times 1 divided by this 1 over 6. Now the same thing as saying that 8 times 1. Now in this bracket, you're having 1. When you change division to times, the 1 at the back will turn upside down. So that means you are having what? Same thing as this 1 over 6, same thing as 6 over 1. Now it should be equal to 8 times, we are now putting the bracket, 8 times 1 times 6. So 8 times 1 is what? 8. 8 times 6 is what? 48. Now let's do another example. So in this example, you are having r times r raised power 0 times r raised power minus 5. Now you realize that the constant, these numbers are having the same constant number, so with different powers. So that means you are having, so since you have multiplied everything, indices tells us to what? Just add the power. So the same thing as saying r. This r, though is you are having r here, it means r, same thing as saying r raised to power 1. Then plus this 0 plus this minus 5. Now simplifying further, you realize that what r raised to power 1 plus 0 plus this plus times minus will give us minus 5. So r will now be raised to power 1 plus 0 is 1 minus 5 will give us minus 4. So you will not leave it in the negative power. Then you now move further to turning into a positive power. So that means it is going to be the inverse of the positive negative power. So that means now I have 1 over r raised to power 4. Now I'm going to leave this, I will leave it now for you to have time to copy what I've just explained. What you need to do is to copy it in your own notes. When you copy it, then you have time to revise and study more. Before the work practice, copy this. This is the second page. You can copy. As you are copying, please, if you like this YouTube, for us to be able to be uploading lessons that will benefit you, you need to like this channel. Like it, share it for YouTube so that the people will be able to see it more. They will see the good work we are doing. And you need to subscribe so that for you to be getting notification anytime we are uploading. And you need to make comments. Comment on our upload to be able to know how to serve you better, how to teach you better. Any complication we are having as a result, give us to be able to work towards ensuring you understand what we are learning. Now you now have the work practice for you to practice on your own. So this work practice, write it down, practice it, so that in the next lesson I'll be uploading, I will explain it. But by then you should have done your own. You should have worked it out. Then in the next lesson you see if you get it, if you arrive at the right answer, you'll be able to judge yourself and evaluate your understanding on this topic, and you'll be able to move further. Now, if you need more teachings, if you want us to be able to contact you, if you need personal teachings, you can still contact me through this WhatsApp number 080683091. You can send a direct message on my WhatsApp to me. I will see it and respond. If we need, distance is not a barrier any longer in this present age of ours. We can find a way of reaching you, teaching you. Now, especially if you have a special need, we'll be able to teach you to be able to be more proficient in it. It will just attract an extra cost. I believe by the time you contact me, you realize you will not regret it. Thank you.